Kyle Draper's been very agitated today. He's agitated about Trey Lance, agitated about Mark Stein and Warrior fans. So you okay here with bringing in a former Warrior?
Yeah, exactly. You know, Matt Barnes is my guy, and Matt jumping on here with us, Whitey and Draper. Thanks for coming on, Matt. And I was golfing the other day, and they're like, Kyle, you work with Matt Barnes, right? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, what's he like? I'm like, Matt Barnes is the realest guy that I know. Matt Barnes could be anywhere. He's going to be Matt Barnes. He could be in the boardroom. He could be at a game. He could be playing basketball. He could be with his kids. He is himself no matter where he's at, man, and that's one thing I appreciate about you, Matt.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that, Kyle.
Yeah, man. So what you up to now, man? You got kids practice or something like that? Podcast you got to get into? What?
I actually shot a 90 earlier today, and now I'm at physical therapy because I played in an adult league to get my twins because they're going into high school. I wanted to get them some adult action, and I sprained my knee. So should have just kept my butt on the sideline coaching, but I had to get a little active. So actually, I'm in therapy right now.
Hey, Matt, I know Kyle has some questions for you about Kobe, this being Kobe's birthday. And before we get to that, which I'm looking forward to, I wanted to ask you, speaking of the pod, All the Smoke, do you have a favorite moment or a favorite guest from that pod that you guys have done so far?
I mean, I think we've been blessed to have such a wide range of people, from Kobe to Will Smith to Steph Curry to Kevin Hart to KD. So I probably have to say Kobe, and that's not because today's his birthday or anything, but I just thought we did a great job of showing people the other side of him. You know, I was blessed to compete against him for so long, and it's the right leg I'm doing. To compete against him for so long, then become teammates and become brothers, and just saw a different side of him. You know, saw the person, and that was really our goal through the podcast, was trying to bring that out.
You know, one thing about Kobe, Matt, when I talk to my son or when I talk to kids that I coach, I always bring up Kobe Bryant. Kobe wouldn't do that, or Kobe would do this, and so to me, the true test of how great of a athlete, a competitor person he was, is that even after he's gone, you can still look at his career and say, you know what, Kobe did it this way, you should also. And so tell me about that, just how Kobe has inspired, a generation and generations of ball players.
He was different. He created the Mamba mentality, and that was no joke. I got a taste of that in the summer times, working out with him before the sun comes up and going so hard in the gym that I couldn't even lift my arms to shoot once we were done in the gym. I mean, this guy's just a consummate pro, consummate worker, never cheated a day. His thing was always get the most out of every day, and he did that every day of his career. So I never really met someone who was as disciplined and dedicated as Kobe was to the game.
Matt, what did Kobe admire the most in his teammates? Obviously, for some, he was not an easy guy to play with. Others, of course, literally worship him. What was it Kobe wanted the most and looked for the most in his teammates?
I think people who worked on their craft, because he worked so hard. So he, it's only right that everyone else did. And then dogs, he went out and got myself and got Ron Artest the year before, because he just appreciated our tenacity, the way we played the game, the way we approached the game, how hard we played. And we didn't take nothing from nobody. And I think that's something he definitely respected.
Man, one last Kobe question. I know you've talked about it thousands of times. In our crossover last show, they wanted me to ask you about the infamous incident where you had the ball, you're inbounding it, you're with Orlando at the time. You look like, to me, you put it right in his face and Kobe didn't flinch. Yeah. Please tell that story and straighten the record for everybody. Did you put it in his face, or was it off to the side?
No, I put it right in his face. I wanted to hit him. I told him. I told him I wanted to fight. We talked about it, on my podcast. Was, Kobe was such a great competitor, scorer, player. Other Lakers same like, but the mental approach was where he separated himself. So he was someone who would, elbow you, grab you, do a bunch of little things that the refs wouldn't dare call on him, but would flip around and, call it on myself or call it on a Ron Artest. So I was so irritated at one point, like I really wanted to fight him. And the ball flinching incident was random. It wasn't premeditated. It literally just happened. We ended up winning that game, and then, later that summer, he kind of blind calls me and, recruits me to be a Laker. So I think, through that situation and in that particular game, we became teammates.
Matt Barnes with us here, Sactown Sports. Obviously, Matt, the Kings are hoping for some shooting, some rebounding from Sasha Vezenkov. In your experience, what are the most difficult things for European pros to adjust to when they come into the NBA?
Well, I think the game is so different now because it's such a European-style game. It's trending towards positionless. Guys do a little bit of everything. Big, smalls are kind of intertwined. It used to be strength and competitiveness, I felt like, that some of the European players struggle with. But you're seeing European players, with all due respect, run the game. You look at the last handful of MVPs or all international players. So, with his experience and his creativity, winning the MVP over there, I know Kings fans are definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do for this team.
Matt, what would constitute a good or maybe even great season for the Kings? Because I'm of the belief, and you know how I am, man, 48 wins is great. Making it to the first round is great, but you ain't done nothing yet. I need them to go farther. What would constitute, in your eyes, an advancement, a better season for Sacramento?
Well, I mean, how quick they spoiled us. This team was, 15 years without an appearance, and now, we talked about this during the year, Kyle, that they played so well that they upped the expectations daily. But improvement in every area, and I think obviously they didn't go out and do a ton in free agency because they know they have a great core, and another year of experience is going to, pay dividends. That series against the Warriors, although they lost, is going to help this team in the long run so much. So they added some key pieces, that they felt they needed some depth and some help, re-sign key guys. But obviously, over 50 wins would be great, but it all comes down to the playoffs. The West is loaded. So I would love to see them make a run to the Western Finals. I think they're talented enough. Mike Brown's a great coach, and I know everyone's excited to see what this season brings.
Matt, is it reasonable or maybe a bit of a stretch to think that the Kings will be better defensively just by virtue of having played Mike Brown's defense for a whole season?
Absolutely. I think, like I said, experience across the board that they got last year is going to continue to pay dividends this season and in for seasons to come. And, they got a taste of Mike's philosophy on the offensive end. Oddly enough, knowing he's a defensive-minded coach, so, expect, defense to really pick up, and it's really on an individual level. Guys have to commit to playing defense and want to play defense because it's not glorified and it's not even really appreciated anymore except for winning teams. Winning teams play defense. So expect them to be a lot better this year on the defensive end, and I think that's going to be key.
Matt, can we see an even better version of De'Aaron Fox than this past season? Can he be even better? I
mean, he's still young. That's the crazy thing, is he's still a young player, learning and proving himself. Yeah, proving himself. So I definitely think, he's been in the lab. And the one thing I liked, Kyle, was, hearing how many guys stayed in Sacramento this summer. Normally, that final buzzer sounds and everyone's gone, and particularly Sacramento. And guys would be back right before camp or right when they were needed. But guys stuck around and hung out and played with each other and continued to build that chemistry with each other, which is only going to help. So I definitely think seeing De'Aaron Fox taking another leap this year, which is hard to believe because he was absolutely amazing last year, but definitely looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table for the team this year.
Matt, as you're getting some physical therapy done there, I'm reminded of Nerlens Noel. If he's healthy, and who knows, but if he's healthy, what kind of impact do you think he could have with the Kings?
A big impact. Someone who is a rim protector, a rim runner, puts pressure on the defense. Where you have to tag him because he's a rim threat, and that's going to open up open up the team shooting. So his health is obviously critical, but his length, his ability to play defense can really pay dividends for this team if he's going to be out there on the court.
Matt, tell me about your off season so far. A lot of golf, a lot of work. What's going on with you?
A lot of golf. Coach my kids. We won the national championship for 8th grade out in D.C. So we finished our middle school careers, the number one team in the country, which was really cool. The boys just started high school last week, so everything's happened a little too fast for my liking. But as we know, we continue to move. But Kyle, it was a fun summer. I got to work, but work has never worked to me. Getting a chance to work with you, towards the end, at the beginning of the summer, and then all the smoke in the middle of the summer, and coaching my kids and some ESPN. So Life is good, man. No complaints. I actually got some downtime right now for about a month, so I'm really kind of enjoying that and catching up on all the things I missed out because I was such, constant movement during the summer.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Matt, Steph Curry or Magic Johnson?
Oh, man, tough. I mean, I grew up wanting to be Magic Johnson. He was my favorite player. You saw with MJ text Stephen A. today.
Yeah.
They're both definitely in that. Those are the two in the conversation. I think Steph said that apart. As a part of when he said, I feel like I'm the best. But he also said, they're both in the conversation. So I think as of now, I'm gonna take Magic. But I think by the time Steph is done, it'll probably be Steph.
Ouch. Magic's on my Mount Rushmore of all time. Like, I'm a Magic guy. He's that guy, right? On and off the court. Same with Steph, man. They're both great.
Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that, that Steph's in that conversation, and what I love more than him even, I just love that he feels that way. You know what I mean? He's such a mild-mannered, doesn't really do too much talking, but Steph knows how great he is and the effect he's had on the game of all ages. Steph has literally changed basketball. So you always have to consider that. But I got Magic with a small nudge. But I think by the time Steph is done playing, I think Steph will be the greatest point guard we've ever had.
That is a tough one. Thank you, Matt Barnes. We appreciate your time very, very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Matt. Peace.
Yeah, the one and only Matt Barnes. Coming up next, Kyle, can I run my Kings Bowl prediction of the day?
Yes.
All right. And just
hopefully it's not like Chris Watkins. It's not crappy like his. I'm sure you'll come correct.
Well, we'll find out next year. Sactown Sports.